Let me actually just comment this part out. We want to check this part and I want to show you that this doesn't work. So what we are going to do is to call this function inside our did select row at index path. So here, first, you can see now whenever I search for something and I select, it doesn't deselect unless I click somewhere else. So we want to deselect our table view cell automatically. So we say table view dot deselect row at index path animated true. So this will automatically deselect the row that we just selected. Then we want to call our save to user defaults, and the location is going to be our filtered locations index path dot row. So we have our weather location and we want to save it here. So if I run my application now, whenever I click, it should deselect and it should try to save by calling this function here. Let's see how our application will crash now. And this is our crash. And let's see our crash report on top. This is the part we need, terminating up due to uncooked exception. Reason, attempt to insert non-property list object. And this is our non-property list object, weather location, which has a city optional Nicosia, country optional Cyprus, country code optional CY, is current location false for key locations. So the error happens is basically the most important part here is non-property list object. So our weather location object is a non-property list object. So it means that in our user defaults, we can save only the objects that conform to the protocol of being a property list. So let's see how we are going to fix this. Let's go to our weather locations, and where we have equitable protocol here, I want to add one more protocol that we conform to, which is codable. And then we need a comma here. So now we can encode our weather location into the required format to be able to save it to our user defaults, which will be the property list object. So let's go to our choose city view controller here, and before we can set our value as saved locations to our user defaults, what we want to do is to convert it, and we need to encode this as a property list. So instead of these saved locations, I'm going to we're going to first try, because this may throw an error. We say property list encoder, because we want to encode this, and we want to encode, and you see that the value we want to encode, it throws. So that's why we are putting a try here. So we want to encode our saved locations. I'm going to unwrap this, because here we are checking if it's nil or no, and then we're proceeding here. So we will take our locations, encode it with a property list encoder, and now we can save it to our user defaults. So if I run, let's open our application, and let's go to our weather Nicosia as a location. If I click on it, it doesn't throw any errors because it's properly saved to my user defaults. In order to prove it, let's move here, and we want to say saved locations is equals, and since it's encoded, to save it we have to encode it, and once we get back we need to decode it, so it will be back to our normal file. So I will say my saved locations is equals, again we need to do a try because this may throw, and we say property list encoder we instantiate one, and now we need to decode the property list, I'm sorry, not encoder, but decoder, and we initialize one and we say decode, and we need the one that from data, and what we want to decode is what the result will be, and our result is going to be an array of weather locations. So I'm going to say array, and I put what type it contains. We say weather location dot self. So this is what we want to decode for data, and we pass our data here that we receive from our user defaults. So if I say, for example, print saved locations dot first object, since it's an array, dot let's get a city name, and actually we need to call this somewhere, so let's call this in our view did load. And now if we have saved already my Nicosia location, we should be able to open this right away. Now you can see the optional Nicosia prints out, so it means we have something in our user default. I can even print the country, and you will see that our full weather object is saved there, and we can get it back every time we open our file here. So let's save something else. Let's save New York, for example. East New York, New York City. So I clicked it's saved, and if I rerun now, we should have, all right, I'm printing the first one. We should, again, we are going to get, let's print the second object here, and the country. So we should get United States now. It says optional United States because our New York is in United States. So our loading is working as well. So these two functions are done.